The most important quality to win endgames is patience. Very often you will hear, do not rush. And also you need to be mentally prepared to play slowly. The position you can see on the screen comes from one of my games. Actually, it was the cup final of the Cheshire Cup. The position looks very equal, and I agree, it probably is equal. And many people in this position would accept a draw. However, I just love the endgame. I want to play it. I want to try to press on, even though things may objectively be equal. But when you think about this, when you start a chess game, it is an equal position, and yet you want to try, you want to do something. So what do we do here? First of all, you need to identify the weaknesses. What are the weaknesses in White's camp? These are these pawns on h2 and a3. There is not much to think about, just attack one of them. Rook h4 is the move to go. Now, of course, White can defend this threat by playing Rook e2, for example. But now you attack the second weakness, the pawn on h3. Okay, Rook h3 check. Now the king has to go somewhere, and it may seem like the king is able to defend the pawn. But because of the control of this diagonal, this protection is only temporary. Now you give a check like this, king goes away, and yes, I could immediately take the pawn, but first I wanted to protect my pawns, and only then I captured the pawn. Okay, it may not seem like much, it's just one pawn in an endgame, it's probably still a draw with best play. But of course, we are club players, we don't play perfect games. And this is why it makes sense to press even in positions that may seem drawish. Because if you don't press, if you don't try to provoke your opponent to make mistakes, they will not make mistakes. All right. Rook c2. White is trying to take advantage of this open file, but now I am actually able to force the exchange of rooks and go into the bishop's endgame. Check, king goes here, and now rook a2. Rook is protected by the bishop, and this rook is now pinned. So there is nothing better for White just to trade rooks. So that's what happened. This is where the real battle begins. It's the bishop endgame. I absolutely love bishop endgames. But in order to play them well, you need to be patient. You need to accept the fact that the game will be slow, and you will try to gradually improve your position bit by bit. How do we do that? Well, first of all, as in all endgames, you need to activate the king. I played king to e6, moving it closer to the center and immediately attacking the pawn. Of course, White defends it, no problem. But now there is another principle worth remembering. If you can, create a passed pawn in the endgame. So I did. a5, b takes, and now black has this dangerous passed pawn that White will always have to be on watch. Bishop goes back, now bishop controls the square, the pawn cannot move any further. So now we just wait. We just say, okay, I'll move my bishop. White pushes the pawn, I move the bishop again. I'm just waiting. You see, I'm not doing anything. I'm trying to see what White is up to. Sooner or later in those positions, the defending side will run out of good moves. And that's what we are waiting for. Okay, h5. Very good. I have now another passed pawn. So yes, White can take that pawn on h7. But now please notice, I have two outside passed pawns that are ready to go. Instead, White has this passed pawn, but it's well blocked by my king. There is no way this pawn is going anywhere. So that's my advantage. Of course, again, probably with perfect play, this game is still a draw. But we club players, we don't play perfect games. So even in a drawish position, I think it's very worth trying to do something. All right. King e7. I'm just waiting again. I don't need to rush. And maybe my king wants to go somewhere to support one of those pawns. White is activating his king as well. But now my pawn can start going forward. And yes, now the king attacks the pawn, but it's not a problem. I just protect it with the bishop. That's all fine. Okay. All that White can really do now is to try to shuffle his bishop because the king has no good moves. If the king goes anywhere, well, maybe except for a3, then my pawn will march up the board. Obviously, the pawn cannot move because then I will just take it. So only the white's bishop can really make any useful moves. But that will end soon as well. Okay, I improve my bishop. Now please note that my bishop protects both pawns. Okay, king a3. And now I take advantage of the fact that white absolutely cannot exchange the bishops. Because if we exchange the bishops, then my pawn is unstoppable. Even if black then loses this pawn, that's not a problem, because we make a queen and we win the game. White has to step back, cannot allow the exchange of the bishops. Okay, he takes control of the long diagonal and of the promotion square for my pawn. But as you will see, white will have to abandon this diagonal eventually. How do we achieve that? We again gradually and very slowly improve the position of our pieces, and we shuffle them around, waiting for white to run out of good moves. Bishop d7, protecting the pawn, and waiting, saying to white, okay, what do you do? Well, white stays on the diagonal, moving the bishop to a good square. Now also my king cannot approach the pawn, so that's the idea behind this move. But that's fine. I can do something on the king side as well. I can push the pawn. Okay, white moves the king. I push the pawn again. White goes back. You can see if the guy is doing moves like this, back and forth, you know that you played well. You know that your position is good because there's not much they can do. The pawn is one square from the queening, and white is in big trouble. Well, he can try to do the same thing again, move back and forth, but now it's time to chase the bishop away from the diagonal and win the game. Bishop e4 is the move. Of course, white will want to stay on this diagonal, so for example, bishop e4 can be played, but now I just play bishop b3. What's the point behind this move? Well, the point is that now there is no way white can both stop my pawn from queening and my king from taking this pawn, because now I control this square. For example, the game could have continued. I say could have continued because actually at this point my opponent resigned. But the game could have continued like this. So after bishop b3, for example, the game could have continued. Okay, king back to a3, trying to shuffle around. But now it's very simple. King e6. Okay, bishop has to stay on the diagonal. And we just take the pawn. And now you can already see that this game is over, because my next move is going to be bishop to d5, chasing the white bishop away from the long diagonal after I just make the new queen. It's game over. So, did you like this game? Did you see how just by waiting and making patient moves you can win such endgames? I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did, and I wish you many successful endgames in your own games and your own practice. Thanks for watching.